All right, welcome back once more to module number 7. We're going to take a look at lesson number 4. This is a very short lesson. It's simply talking about waivers or fulfillment of contracts when making your deals. So again, with lesson number 4, waivers and fulfillment of contracts. So waivers. Now, a lot of people will use the term waiver. I'm going to waive the conditions. It's a very loosely used term that we very rarely use in the real estate industry anymore, because to waive a condition means that you are removing a condition regardless of whether it has been satisfied or not. And this very rarely happens. So the term that we use is actually called a notice of fulfillment. The big difference is that here is that when the financing, for example, has been satisfied, you have received a letter of commitment from the bank, then you have fulfilled that term or that condition in the contract. So you will complete a notice of fulfillment stating that this condition has been fulfilled, therefore we can remove it. So most real estate agents will insert a condition clauses that state that the buyer must provide written statement stating that the condition has been satisfied or fulfilled by a certain date, failing which this offer shall be considered null and void, and the buyer's deposit shall be returned in full without interest and or penalty as well. So there's a variety of different ways that can be written. But the point here is that if you have an offer out there and it's conditional on financing for 2 weeks from now, if the time period expires 2 weeks in the future, you have not received your financing commitment from the bank yet, then the deal will automatically die, because in order for you to keep this deal alive, you must submit in writing that you have satisfied that condition with a notice of fulfillment. If you don't provide them the notice of fulfillment prior to the predetermined time and date, then the deal automatically becomes dead. And a lot of agents will say, oh, don't worry about that. You know, it's 2 hours late, it's 2 days late, whatever the case may be, we'll backdate it. Well, first of all, you can't do that because if it is ever challenged in a court of law, then the judge will throw the whole contract out as being null and void. So you want to make sure you follow the rules very closely. And if you need to get it in by 5 o'clock on the 5th day of the month, make sure you've got it in and received and documented that it has been received by 5 p.m. on the 5th of the month. Otherwise, the deal is technically dead. Now, the reverse of that is, and I've touched on this earlier, but it's worth repeating again. If the clause is written in such a way that if you do not inform them in writing that you have satisfied that condition for finance, for example, by 5 p.m. on the 5th day of the month, then the condition will deem to have been satisfied and the deal will move forward. You do not want to have that condition written that way, or any condition written that way. But some agents or some sellers, if it's a private deal, may draft the offer up in such a way that it works against you. You never want to be in a position where you are forced to buy a property that you can't afford or you can't afford to close on. So you want to make sure it's written in such a way that if you fail to meet that deadline, the deal becomes null and void. So here we have on the next screen an actual notice of fulfillment. Again, they're going to vary from province to province, state to state, but they all will have the same similar structure. So I've taken the very top portion of the page, and this can be a one-page document. Well, it is a one-page document in my case. And again, it simply states the buyer, the seller, the property address, and the date of the agreement that was created, or what it's referencing to. You would then insert in the empty blank space, which is quite a bit bigger than what I'm going to show here on the screen. You're going to simply state that well, it says above that in accordance with the terms and conditions of the agreement of purchase and sale dated at regarding the above property, we hereby confirm that we have fulfilled the conditions which read as follows. So you would then repeat the finance condition that was in the original purchase and sale agreement. If there's more than one condition and they're both being fulfilled on the same day, then you would write in both of those clauses in that space. Then at the bottom portion of the document, it says that it's dated at, in what location, at what time. It's very, very specific, because quite often these notice of fulfillments get right down to the wire. So if it was due at 5 o'clock on the 5th day of the month and you got word at 4 o'clock that you can get financing, then you're going to rush and you're going to fill out the notice of fulfillment. You're going to put the dated at wherever you happen to be, the time, 4 o'clock p.m. this 5th day on the same month. You're going to put, if you're the buyer, stroke out seller, write your name in there, date it, and send it off as quickly as possible to the other agent, who will, at the bottom you'll say receipt acknowledged at, and they will accept it this day and sign it as well. So everything has to be documented exactly as it is written, or else if it's ever contested in a court of law, then as I said earlier, the judge can easily throw out the agreement. And if both parties, it's not a big deal if both parties are agreeing and they still want to sell the deal, complete the transaction. But if one party decides for whatever reason they want to get out of the contract, then little things like this can become a big pain in the butt for you, because when it gets to the court of law, the judge will look at it and say, well, hang on, it says here that it wasn't received until 5:10 p.m. on that particular day. Therefore, it wasn't received in time. Therefore, the condition wasn't fulfilled. The contract is dead. So you need to make sure you are dotting your I's, crossing your T's, and making sure everything's done properly in as quick a manner as possible. Your notice of fulfillment is going to be for all of the conditions and terms that you put into, not necessarily all the terms, but some of the terms that you put into the purchase and sale agreement, primarily receipt of the documents, any inspections, the financing, lawyer review, etc. Now, if all of the conditions are due on the same date, then you may provide a notice of fulfillment for all conditions in one document. So you can simply write in that notice of fulfillment that we, the buyers, acknowledge notice of fulfillment for all conditions in the original purchase and sale agreement. However, if the conditions have different dates, then you're going to have to do individual notice of fulfillment for each condition. Or, and this is a big one, if you happen to have a condition such as the lawyer, subject to lawyer's review, without a time stamp on it, not conditional for any time period, and you put that you remove all conditions, or not remove, but you provide a notice of fulfillment for all conditions, then you've just taken away your opportunity, your escape clause with the lawyer clause as well. So you just need to be aware of that. So again, that's it. As I say, it was very short and sweet. I just wanted to point out the difference between waivers and notice of fulfillments. And then the big one is how the clause is written, so that if you miss that due date, the deal becomes dead. That's the way you want to have it. You don't want to have it become firm if you miss that due date. So if you have any other questions, feel free to email me. Otherwise, I look forward to speaking to you on the webinar. Take care.